Multi-threading in Java. Multi-threading in Java refers to the ability of a program to execute multiple threads of execution at the same time. A thread is a lightweight process that can run concurrently with other threads in the same program. In this article, we will cover multi-threading in Java in detail, including how to create and manage threads, synchronization, and common issues that arise in multi-threaded programs. Basics of multi-threading in Java. In Java, multi-threading is implemented by creating an instance of the thread class or by implementing the runnable interface. The thread class provides methods for starting, stopping, and suspending threads, as well as methods for checking the status of a thread. The runnable interface provides a single run method that must be implemented by the thread's code. Creating a thread in Java. To create a thread in Java, you can either extend the thread class or implement the runnable interface. Here is an example of extending the thread class. Here is an example of implementing the runnable interface. Both of these examples create a new thread and start it running. The run method is the entry point for the thread's code. When the start method is called on the thread object, the thread begins executing its run method in a separate thread of execution. Thread states in Java. A thread in Java can be in one of several states, including new, runnable, blocked, waiting, and terminated. The new state is when a thread is created but not yet started. The runnable state is when a thread is executing in its run method. The blocked state is when a thread is waiting for a monitor lock to be released. The waiting state is when a thread is waiting for another thread to perform a certain action. The terminated state is when a thread has completed its run method and has terminated. Thread priorities in Java. Java threads can be assigned a priority from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest priority and 10 being the highest priority. The default priority for a thread is 5. The priority of a thread can be set using the setPriority method. Higher priority threads are given preference over lower priority threads when the operating system schedules threads for execution. Thread synchronization in Java. In multi-threaded programs, it is common for multiple threads to access shared resources concurrently. This can lead to issues such as race conditions and deadlocks. Thread synchronization is the process of controlling access to shared resources in a multi-threaded environment to prevent these issues. Java provides several mechanisms for thread synchronization, including synchronized blocks, volatile variables, and the Java util concurrent package. Here is an example of using a synchronized block to control access to a shared resource. In this example, the increment and get count methods are both synchronized, which means that only one thread can execute them at a time. This ensures that the count variable is updated atomically and prevents race conditions. Common issues in multi-threaded programs. Multi-threaded programs can be difficult to write and debug due to issues such as race conditions and deadlocks. Introduction to generics in Java. Generics were introduced in Java 5 to add type safety to collections and to allow classes and methods to operate on generic types. The concept of generics is based on parameterized types. With parameterized types, we can define a type that is parameterized by one or more type parameters. These parameters can be any type, including other parameterized types. The ability to create parameterized types is what makes generics so powerful. What are generics? Generics are a way to make code more generic by allowing types to be specified at runtime. This allows us to write more flexible and reusable code. In Java, generics are implemented using type erasure, which means that the generic type information is removed at runtime. Generics in Java are parameterized types. A parameterized type is a class or interface that is defined with one or more type parameters. A type parameter is a placeholder for a type that will be specified when the parameterized type is instantiated. For example, the ArrayList class is a parameterized type. It is defined with one type parameter, which specifies the type of the elements that the ArrayList will hold. The type parameter is specified when the ArrayList is instantiated. Generics syntax. The syntax for defining a generic type in Java is as follows. Example. The type parameter t can be any valid Java identifier. It is convention to use a single uppercase letter to represent the type parameter, but this is not required. When we create an instance of a generic type, we specify the actual type that will be used for the type parameter. For example, in this example, we are creating an instance of my class with the type parameter string. This means that any methods or variables that use the type parameter t in the definition of my class will be replaced with the type string at runtime. Generic classes. A generic class is a class that is defined with one or more type parameters. The type parameters can be used in the definition of the class to specify the type of instance variables, parameters, and return types of methods. For example, the following class is a generic class that is parameterized by a type parameter t. Example. In this example, the type parameter t is used to specify the type of the instance variable my_var and the parameter and return types of the getMy_var and setMy_var methods. To create an instance of my class with a specific type parameter, we use the following syntax. In this example, we are creating an instance of my class with the type parameter string. Generic methods. A generic method is a method that is defined with one or more type parameters. The type parameters can be used in the definition of the method to specify the type of parameters and return type. For example, the following method is a generic method that is parameterized by a type parameter t. Example. In this example, the type parameter t is used to specify the type of the list parameter and the return type of the method. To call this method with a specific type parameter, we use the following syntax. Example.